Okay, let's see what she has to say. This video is on discipline.
For decades, dogs have been taught in a really forceful way. Unfortunately,
That's
modern
true.
behavioral science is proving that that is just the wrong way to treat these incredible animals. But
Okay, real quickly, I want to talk about modern behavioral science. The 1930s and 1940s, modern behavioral science has talked about the quadrants. The quadrants meaning positive reinforcement, positive punishment, negative reinforcement, negative punishment. If you're not familiar with that, look it up. It's real. It is science. It is modern behavior science. And the quadrants have not been disproven. Okay, there is not three or two. You know, one sentence that you'll hear quite often is those methods are outdated, punishment is outdated. No, it's not outdated. It's science. Science does not disprove itself until new findings prove that the previous evidence don't work. And as far as the quadrants go, they're still pretty much the same. But she's right. A lot of assholes out there are training with a lot of force. It's uncalled for.
how do you discipline a dog? Surely you have to
You
be.
discipline a dog the same way you discipline any animal, and that is there has to be an understanding of what a consequence is. The reason you stop at a red light is not because it's fun to stop at a red light. The reason you stop at a red light is because there is a consequence and you understand what the consequence is. A, you get in an accident, or B, you get a ticket, right? Both unpleasant consequences. That is how you understand discipline. The reason you learn to clean your room at a young age is not because you love to clean your room, unless you're one of those weirdos. But the reason you learn to clean your room, keep your house clean, take the trash out, is because you understand that there are consequences to not doing those things.
Able to tell a dog no sometimes in order to be able to direct that dog.
Every animal needs to learn what no means. As far as animals in the wild, animals in nature, they know what no means, but their version of no is different. Their version of no means life and death. Right? With our dogs, with our domesticated animals, with us, ourselves, we have to understand the concept of no.
To good behavior. I like to use discipline to guide a dog
I
rather than
agree.
instill fear.
Okay, I agree with that. But just because you use the other quadrants, it doesn't mean you instill fear. You instill an understanding of consequences.
Here's my take on it.
Okay.
Discipline should be used to guide a dog into making the right choices. The kind of punishments that you should never use with your dogs are things like kicking your dog, poking,
I agree.
shouting,
I agree.
hitting,
100%.
or restraining your dog on its back or its side in order to establish who's the boss.
I agree with that. Why do you pin your dog on the side? Why do you do alpha rolls? Why do you kick the dog? Completely uncalled for. I agree with her 100% on that.
These techniques have been used for so many years,
She's
and
right.
unfortunately, they break trust between dog and owner.
I agree.
As well as causing a dog to shut down, as well as being dangerous, because a lot of dogs react negatively
I
to
agree.
being punished in this way.
Yep.
The kind of discipline that I use are vocal interrupters to interrupt behavior.
Vocal interrupters are not discipline. They're just that. They're interrupters, right? If you are dead set on crossing that red light and you hear something to the side or your kids bug you in the back and then you decide not to cross the red light, it's because you were interrupted. It's not because there was a sense of discipline. So that is not discipline.
To redirect the dog from negative behavior onto positive behavior.
Good.
Timeouts, where I remove the dog for a period of time.
You kids want to learn something about timeouts? Timeouts are actually punishment. Timeouts, you heard that right. Timeouts fall under negative punishment. So you use punishment, Victoria, don't lie.
In order to get the dog to calm down and then reintroduce the dog into a situation, or simply.
Again, timeouts are punishment. If you did not know that, I hate to break your heart. If you use timeouts, you use punishment.
ignoring negative behavior. And that's basically the only kind of discipline you're ever going to need with any dog. And it doesn't matter if it's the smallest puppy or the largest Great Dane. And it doesn't matter what kind of behavior. If you're just doing regular compliance.
I disagree. It doesn't matter what kind of behavior. No. If a dog has a dangerous, potentially dangerous behavior to you, another animal, or another person, timeouts are not gonna necessarily work. Okay, somebody's gonna get hurt, somebody's gonna get injured, another dog is gonna get hurt, another dog's gonna get injured. So no, you cannot say that is the only type of discipline that your dog needs. That's nonsense.
Training, or you're teaching the red zone dogs. There's a huge misconception out there that everything the dog does is the dog's desire to dominate, especially if it's behaving bad.
I agree 100%. I'm a balance trainer, if you haven't noticed by now, but I'm not one of those knuckle dragging YouTube dog trainers that fix problems in 5 minutes. I agree with that on several points. That's one of them. Okay, a dog misbehaving doesn't mean the dog is trying to, give you the middle finger. It doesn't mean the dog is trying to dominate you. I agree with her.
Badly, and the dog is trying to get one up on the owner, trying to be alpha, trying to be the boss.
Yep, that's BS. I completely agree with her on that.
The trouble is that dogs are not out to achieve world domination. Dogs
100% with that. They're just looking out for their best interests.
Are just trying to cope in the domestic environments they live in. And it's up to you as the owner to teach them how to cope. You might have seen one form of discipline that's really, really destructive, and people think it works because that's what they're told. And it's known as the alpha roll.
Yes. I don't like it. The alpha roll, she's probably going to explain it. That's when the dog gets pinned on its side. It's also called forced submission. It has a few names. I don't like the alpha rolls. I'm not a big fan of it.
The alpha roll is when a dog is misbehaved and you lie a dog on its side and you strain it on its side or in its back until it submits to you.
I agree with that. It is such bullshit that people still do that. It baffles me.
Until it calms down. Even though it looks like the dog has calmed down, actually what's happening is that the dog is shutting down. And shut down is an...
Yeah, the dog is basically going into learn helplessness. This dog is going, screw this, fuck my life. I'm just pinned on my side and I'm just gonna deal with it. Some dogs, however, will fight you and will some dogs will definitely try to bite you. So alpha roll is not recommended at all.
Instinctive survival tool that the dog uses to get the threat to move away. So for example, your dog has done something that you don't like. You've been taught to restrain that dog by putting the dog on its side and standing over it and restraining it until it calms down.
That's BS.
In fact, what's happening in your dog's brain and body is that the levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone in your dog's body, goes right up, even though it looks like the dog has calmed down. And then when that stress level is high, the dog shuts down. It basically ceases to learn. It ceases to do anything. What the dog is hoping is that if it's still, that you will release it, that you will get up, that the threat will go away. So what effectively have you taught the dog by punishing it, by holding it on its side, restraining it in this manner?
So don't get crazy now. An alpha roll, yeah, you could say that it is punishment, but don't forget, timeouts are punishment. If you're gonna get all scientific on dog training, you need to be full 100% scientific. You can't just go, well, I never use punishment and in fact use punishment. You can't say you should never use punishment and then say you use timeouts and then say you should never use punishment. Let's not put a paintbrush on alpha rolls and just call it, punishment.
Shown that you are the violent one. You've shown that you're the bully. And you've also created more stress in your dog that might have been insecure in the first place.
Yep.
When you use discipline, use it wisely.
Yes.
Use discipline to guide your dog into making the right choices
Yes.
rather than causing your dog to fear you.
I agree. So there are several points on this video. I've never seen this video. It's the very first time I'm watching this video as I'm doing this commentary. And I agree with her on several points. I myself, I'm not a big fan of this lady, but I can't disagree with some of the things that she's saying because those things I firmly believe in. I don't believe in alpha roles. I don't believe in just using force just to stop a behavior right away. I know it has to get done sometimes, but it shouldn't be your go-to. And but there are some things obviously that I disagree with.